Welcome back to Hari's BI. This video is about what are the different types of Power BI projects that you can see or work in recent times. If you are new to my channel, please click the subscribe button and bell icon to get the latest updates from my channel. Let's get started. Let's discuss about Power BI project. The typical Power BI project is nothing but creating a Power BI semantic model by connecting two different data sources, take the tables or views and create a relationships, create a DAX measures, and on top of that create reports and visuals. So this is a typical Power BI development projects. In recent times you could see different types of Power BI projects. I'm going to talk about three different types of Power BI projects after this Microsoft Fabric integration. Type 1. So this is a typical Power BI development projects where you are creating a semantic model pointing to your respective data sources. Your customer or organization has not started adopting Microsoft Fabric, or they have started adopting Microsoft Fabric and they have not migrated their actual data platform into Microsoft Fabric. So which means the actual data sources for the reporting is still on the same databases. For example, Azure SQL database, Teradata, or maybe Oracle. Right? So if that is the case, there is no change in your Power BI semantic model development report. So that is going to be same, which means you are not going to leverage anything from Microsoft Fabric with respect to the data platform. Right? So let's say your customer has adopted Microsoft Fabric and they are started thinking about the migrating their existing data platform into Microsoft Fabric. If that is a scenario, then you will be fall into type 2 project. In type 2, customer has started adopting Microsoft Fabric and data platforms are already built in Microsoft Fabric. So if that is the case, under type 2 you have two different options. Option 1, so you have to repoint your existing Power BI reports to your latest Microsoft Fabric data platform data sources. So just to give you an idea, for example, I have created a semantic model called WWI sales, which I have created using this SQL server, right? Basically Azure SQL as a source for this model. On top of that, I have created this report. As part of this Microsoft Fabric data platform integration, now this data is migrated or made available in Microsoft Fabric. If that is the case, I have to repoint my semantic model to the respective data platform within Microsoft Fabric. So when I say data platform, it might be a lakehouse or it might be a warehouse. Right? So then that's where we are discussing two options. Option A, you are going to simply repoint your semantic model to the respective lakehouse or warehouse. So this option A, considering that you have created this model using import and you're already experiencing a good performance with this import model, and you don't want to move it into direct lake and you don't have a requirement to move this into a direct lake. If that is the case, under this option 1, you just need to simply repoint this Azure SQL server into Microsoft Fabric SQL endpoints, which might be coming from your warehouse or maybe lakehouse. So for that, you need to ensure all the data which are being used in these models are already available in Microsoft Fabric. The schema, the table name, the data type, all are already available in this Microsoft Fabric. Right? So once you have confirmed that, then you can just simply change the server name and then the database name. Then the rest of the semantic model is going to work. So it is not going to impact anything. But if there are any changes on the schema, table name or a data type, then you have to go to the semantic model and you have to make sure to rectify all these things in either in a Power BI layer or ask the data team to update these changes in the data layer in Microsoft Fabric, and then you can just verify the semantic model once and then deploy it back to the workspace and you refresh it, and that's all. Right? So let's see this scenario, right? So I have created a lakehouse. So if you see here, I have created a lakehouse. So in this lakehouse, if I go to the lakehouse, I have just uploaded or migrated the data from my Azure SQL databases to Lakehouse. So you can see these are all the list of tables which I was maintaining in my Azure SQL database. Now I have migrated those tables from those databases into this Lakehouse, and I'm going to use this table in my semantic model as part of the repointing my semantic model from Azure SQL databases to this Lakehouse. So I'm not going to directly connect to the Lakehouse because I still want to go with import. So that's why I'll be going with the SQL endpoint. Right. So I'll be going with the SQL endpoint. Within this SQL endpoint, I will understand my schema, table, the structure, and the columns. So once all are good, then what I can do, I can just simply go here and then I grab this SQL connection string. Right. So this is a connection string which you have to use, which is nothing but your SQL server name, and the database is nothing but this wide word imports. So this is your database name. Right. So if you are maintaining a standards and best practices, and if you have parameters already created, you just simply go to settings and go to parameter, and here instead of this actual Azure SQL server database SQL server name, you just take this server, just copy and then just paste it here, and instead of database name with the actual Azure SQL database name, you have to specify this name. So this is your database name. Right. So if all the schema, table, column, data types are same, you just simply go and apply, and then you just refresh it. So you just need to edit the credentials. So here you have three options. One is basic, OAuth, and service principal. So since this database is created as part of this Lakehouse, so we don't have a basic credential, so we cannot create a specific username. So you have to go either with OAuth authentication or service principal. So OAuth means you have to provide your individual user email, where you have access to these databases, where you have access to those Lakehouses. Right. So I can just simply provide my credentials, and then that's all. Now I can start go and refresh this semantic model. Right. So if everything is good, then the model will be refreshed. And let's say if you don't want to go with your individual credentials, here you have another option called service principal. Right. So I would recommend you to go with service principal. So to get a service principal details, you just need to create a Microsoft Entra ID application. So you have to go to Microsoft Entra ID and go to app registration, and you need to create a new registration here. So I have done already. It is just a simple app. No specific permissions are required. If you see, this is the app that I have created. So once I have created an app, I will get this client ID, tenant ID, and I can generate the secret. Right. So I have to make sure this app ID or this service principal is part of my workspace, where I am trying to configure, or where I have this the Fabric Lakehouse or data warehouse, where this actual SQL endpoints are sitting. Right. I have to go to here, my workspace, go to manage access, and here I have to add that service principal. So that service principal name is Fabric SQL. So I'm just going to give admin access, click add. So which means now this service principal has access to all the objects which are there in this workspace. So with that, now I can go here, I can add all of these details. So tenant ID is nothing but my actual Power BI tenant ID or Azure tenant ID, and then service principal ID, so which is my client ID, and then service principal key is nothing but my secret. And so I can go and create a new secret, new client secret. So I can specify when it's supposed to expire, and I can just copy this value. So this is my service principal key. Once I have entered tenant ID, service principal ID, which is nothing but a client ID, and client secret, which is nothing but service principal key, I just simply click sign in. So if this client ID has access to that SQL endpoint, then it will successfully connected. Now you can again go and refresh your semantic model. That's all. So this is how you can easily repoint your existing semantic models referring to the Microsoft Fabric SQL endpoints. Right? If there are change in the schema name, change in the table name, then you have to open that model on your Power BI desktop, and you have to go to the transform data and you have to do all the changes manually. And even if you have not created parameters on your semantic model, so then again you have to go to Power BI semantic model on your Power BI desktop, and you have to change all the places, like what is the server name, database name, and what is the schema name. Right? So once you have defined all of them in a parameter, it will be easy for you to easily change when there is no change in the structure, data type, schema name, column name, and etc. Otherwise, yeah, you have to do the changes on your Power BI desktop and verify all the tables are populating the data, and then you can publish this into your workspace. So that's about option A. Option B, within this type 2, again the Fabric is already adopted, data platforms are there in Microsoft Fabric, and as part of that you want to leverage the Microsoft Fabric direct lake based semantic model. So considering your existing semantic model is on a direct query based, because of your requirement, like you need to show the real-time data, and you have a large volume of data which you cannot handle with import. So when you are into that scenario, then as part of this option 2, you can migrate or you can create your direct lake based semantic model based on your existing direct query based semantic model. Right? So for that we have a very good library created. So these libraries has to be executed or run against on Microsoft Fabric notebooks. So here Michael from Microsoft has created a library called Semantic Link Labs. So there are multiple functions are there within this semantic links. So this is using a semantic link. On top of that, Michael has created multiple functions, one for direct lake migration, and there are various functions are there. I would recommend you to go through this Git repo, the whole details, how the semantic links can help you to handle different use cases in your project. Right? So all those informations are explained in detail here. And there is a notebook. So this notebook will help you to migrate or create a new direct lake based semantic model based on your existing semantic model, which might be an import or a direct query. So if you are getting an performance or a better performance using import, then I would recommend you to think before you decide to go to direct lake. If you are into direct query, then I would recommend you to go to direct lake. So just go through this and leverage these libraries to create a new direct lake semantic model based on your existing semantic model. So this will make your process smoother and easier. And there are some limitations with the direct lake based semantic models. Right? So you have to go through those limitations. I will share the Microsoft link on the description. You just go through that and understand all those limitations, and based on that you take a call whether you want to go with a direct lake. So far we discussed about 2 different options within type 2 project. Let's go to type 3. Type 3 is something like organization has started adopting Microsoft Fabric and they want to create new set of reports. Right? So if that is the case, you just simply directly go to Microsoft Fabric and go through all your data warehouses or lake houses which you want to consider for your new semantic models, and based on the requirement you go with import direct query or a direct lake and start create the semantic models and reports. Right? So these are all 3 different types of projects you probably might be already working on, or you may start work on in upcoming days. And probably you might have seen all of these or at least 2 of these types of projects in your day-to-day activities. If customer has already adopted or already migrated their partial databases into Microsoft Fabric, then as part of that migration you have to repoint our existing reports. So there you might be handle the type 2 project, or on other side, they have created a new data platform directly on a Microsoft Fabric, and they are interested to create new semantic models, then you may fall into type 3, right? So these are all typical different types of projects which you can see separately in your organization, or maybe all of these different types of projects will go together based on how your customer has adopted, and whether they have fully migrated or just in the process of migrating their data platform. So based on that, all of these different types of projects will be involved in different phases. I hope you like this video. Please let me know what type of Power BI projects that you are currently working with. Maybe leave your comment in the comment box.